Hey everyone, Rachel here with Expert Interviews, and today I have the lovely pleasure of talking with real estate agent Bryant Centofanti. Bryant, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, Bryant, let's get right into things. Tell me a little bit about how long you've been a licensed real estate agent for.
Over 8 years.
And now, Bryant, let's talk a little bit about your greater market area. Where exactly are you located and what is the area that you serve?
I basically serve the Baltimore to Annapolis to Washington, D.C. triangle, sort of specializing in Anne Arundel County and actually specializing in Annapolis-Severna Park and Arnold within the county. So that's sort of the core area, but obviously I can go anywhere in Maryland.
Now, Bryant, tell me a little bit about what inspired you to get involved with real estate. Was this something that you took interest in throughout school or your later years in life, or was it something that perhaps your family was involved in?
Well, actually, it sort of came back to me because when I was in my teen years and college years, I quite often worked with my father, who was a lifelong bricklayer and an occasional general contractor and builder. And so he would have me, hauling cement and hauling bricks, and I get to see the 2x4s and everything going up and the roofs being put on. So I knew a little bit about building, and I kind of liked it, but I actually went on to do engineering as it was. But after I retired from my defense industry job, I came back to study real estate, and I really enjoyed the classes, and I decided I would be a full-time realtor, and as I say, I have been for over 8 years now.
That's truly an amazing story, Brian, and very inspirational. And now let's get into maybe the nitty-gritty of real estate and tell me a little bit about the offers that you provide to your clients that they simply just can't get anywhere else.
Well, basically, there are three main offers that I have. Two are actually provided from my brokerage, and it's rather unique. One is a capability to do repairs on one's house before it goes on the market without having the money that cost put on your house as a lien. And that's called our Real Vitalize program. And then we also have a very sophisticated multi-prong marketing service when your house does go on the market, where we will actually do just listed postcards. We'll set up a specific website. We'll do a lot of mailers and posters and send out a lot of things that help to market the site even more than a normal person would do. And then beyond that, since I believe that every seller is actually a buyer first, and with the homes that are on the market right now, there just aren't a lot. So one of the things I will do is go out and scour not for list properties right now, things that are pre-list or pre-foreclosure. I will go into neighborhoods that are needed by my clients or that they'd like to live in, find those properties, and then offer them to them by being able to connect them up with the person who is going to list the property within the next 3 to 6 months, say, but hasn't yet. So it's a win-win situation because the person who wants to move into that neighborhood has found a place and they can move in on a timeline that's mutually agreeable to both the buyer and the seller. So I find that works very well.
Now, Brian, it's obvious that as a real estate agent, you have to possess characteristics such as being very compassionate and compelling, as well as being dedicated to your industry. So tell me a little bit on a personal note about what it is that you love about being a real estate agent.
One of the things I really love is being able to work with people and help them achieve their housing goals. And there have been many, many different types, obviously. I enjoy working with them and seeing that they are successful. And I sort of call myself the can-do agent because quite often people need help with things like buying moving boxes, taking stuff to the dump and things like that. So in addition to my regular duties, I will quite often help them do that just to facilitate their being able to get out in a normal time and to make things as easy as possible on them with as few hassles. And so I find that very interesting. And one of the other things that's interesting about it is in looking at different neighborhoods that different clients have actually wanted to move to, they were quite often neighborhoods that I hadn't been to before. And it was interesting going to those neighborhoods, learning how they're set up, what sort of facilities they have in the area, and sometimes seeing weird things inside the houses that I hadn't thought about before. So it's a multi-level satisfaction that I get from real estate.
And Bryant, touching on what it means to you to be a real estate agent and the fulfillment and gratification that comes with the trade, tell me a little bit about if there are any charities or causes that you donate to or are a part of.
I give a bit to a lot of different causes, but the main cause I give to is my church. That's my main charity, and I give both of money and time. In fact, usually until COVID began, we used to always take a set of teenagers down in these 8-passenger vans to the Appalachian area, and we would work with the Appalachian Service Project to make the houses renovated and bring them back up to snuff for the people who were really very destitute down there. So I enjoy doing that.
And Bryant, I know that as a real estate agent, the hours of free time are far and few between. And as a successful real estate agent in your case, I'm sure you don't get a ton of free time to relax and unwind. But when you do get a little bit of free time, what do you enjoy doing?
I actually, believe it or not, am a actor. Initially, it was a stage actor, and eventually it became a film actor. I'm still looking for a speaking role, but I've done a lot of roles as an extra in many, many series and movies. And I enjoy that a lot because with stage, it used to take a lot of time. You'd have to commit to 3 to 4 weeks of rehearsal and 3 weeks of a run. But with being an extra in films, all you have to do is show up on the specific day they want you, and then you're free after that. You can come back if they want you again, but each commitment is just one day at a time. So I find that with busy real estate commitments, it's easier to sandwich in the film acting than it is the stage acting.
Now, Bryant, if we can go back maybe a handful of years, perhaps to when you were thinking of getting involved in real estate, or maybe perhaps while you were obtaining your real estate license, what's maybe a small piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you along the way?
Probably the biggest advice is start prospecting early, and also don't give up when you contact a person 1 time or 2 times and say, well, I guess they're not interested. I've learned now that you need to just keep in touch with people, offering good market updates, good home advice, and eventually when they're ready to make a move, hopefully they know, like, and trust you and will come back and say, I remember him, he always gives good advice, I'm going to use him for my transaction. So I wish I'd done that from the start because it took me a while to learn that.
And to kind of close things out a little bit for me, Bryant, tell me why home buyers or sellers, for that matter, at the end of the day, should choose you above all their other options.
Well, there are multiple reasons. The offers that I have online are what I mentioned before, and I think they're all things that can't be found elsewhere. And also, too, I'm very, very committed to the idea that realtors actually are fiduciaries for their clients, which means we have to put ourselves below them. They are number one to us, and anything that's in their best interest, we need to do. So I'm very serious about that, and I will always put my clients first above mine. And that may not be something that happens all the time with some other agents, but it does with me.
Bryant, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to speak with you today and getting to know you a little bit better and find out why you are successful as a real estate agent as you are. Thank you so much for being part of the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you.